All right, Shane, jumping down to Tuscaloosa, where obviously Alabama coming off a heartbreaking loss on the road, Texas A&M. Now they're facing a Mississippi State team coming off a bye week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. And hell, Shane, I mean, Mississippi State did what Alabama could not, and they beat Texas A&M. They beat Texas A&M in College Station. So that was the best performance that I've ever seen from Will Rogers and this Mississippi State offense outside of maybe the first game they ever played together in Baton Rouge. All those, which what seems like years ago, but it was really just the opener of last season. But if Mississippi State, continues to improve on that offensive side of the ball like they did against A&M, we all know for the entire time that Zach Arnett's been there, Mississippi State's defense has been very, very good. What's the concern here, Shane, that, I don't want to say Alabama got exposed because they certainly did get exposed. They damn near won that game. But I don't know, what's the bounce back factor? And it's so rare that we see Alabama, have to deal with this and have to bounce back from a loss. How motivated do you think they will be to, rally the troops, so to speak?
I think that comes down to team leadership, man. Obviously, Nick Saban's fired up. He's going to be, he's going to be pissed off all week. Excuse me, but I think that's not going to be a factor. But you still need your teammates to pull you up sometimes, and I think that's the key. Some of these upperclassmen there at Alabama, who's going to step up, own that locker room, and get these guys fired up? Because if these guys are already like they're, if they come in hungover or disappointed, or just whatever, they didn't put in the work, they didn't learn anything from that game at Texas A&M, then Mississippi State could eat their lunch. And I'm saying that because I've seen it. Look at last year when they played Georgia. That's a prime example. That was two teams that shouldn't have belonged on the same field, but next thing you know, it's coming down the wire because Mississippi State's always ready to play. They've shown us that. They've had some upsetting games here at the start of the season, but here lately, man, they're becoming on point, and that offense is coming together. Not just the defense, but that offense is coming together at the right time. And you look at Alabama, the blueprint's out. You look at the game against Florida, you look at Texas A&M, there are flaws, there are holes in this team, and they're human. That's what everybody just realized, that that Alabama is human, and I think that's the important, because there is an X factor when Alabama comes to any stadium. I just think all of a sudden you feel like you're supposed to lose this game. Well, now you're getting a different mentality. So it's all about the bounce back, and it's not just this game. Alabama needs this game. Alabama needs to win it, and win it like not even close. This shouldn't even be a ball game when you look at the talent gap. But if they drop this one, or if it's a tight one, I'm telling you, man, I'm not saying that they're going to unravel or anything like that, but I'm just saying watch out, because this may be the change that we've been trying to talk about for the last 12 years. Maybe this is the time that Alabama finally is humanized, and they're not the top. Maybe they are close to the top, but they're not far. There's not that gap anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point, Shane. And as you were saying that about, the players being, where's the leadership from? You think Bryce Young, he's an underclassman. Their best receiver, Jamison Williams, just transferred in this offseason. Henry To'oTo'o, another transfer. Will Anderson, maybe their best overall player. He's a sophomore. I mean, you're just going down the list here. A lot of underclassmen in key critical roles for Alabama. And that doesn't mean they're not leaders. I'm not sitting here calling those guys out. But, I know they have Robinson, the veteran 6-year running back. That he's got to be a leader. But, how many true leaders do they got on that team with so many leaders leaving last year? That's something to consider. And I don't know if you've seen this, Shane, but according to Matt Hayes, Saturday Down South insider there, longtime college football writer, he's saying that looks like Bill O'Brien, has emerged as kind of the guy to watch there for the Southern Cal head coaching job. And hell, he's been down at Alabama, like 5-6 games. So the fact he's already, if that reporting is accurate, and I don't want to say how far it's gone down the road because I have no idea. But if he's already eyeing his next job, I mean, I wonder how committed he is to the current job. You know what I mean? How can you be? And certainly, the red zone play calling there against Texas A&M has been called out a little bit here. So I don't know. There's cracks in the armor, so to speak. But again, we're not hitting the panic button. Alabama still controls their destiny. They still got a better roster than damn near anybody they're going to face. So they should win basically every time they see the field. But, hell, they should have won last week too. They didn't get it done. So, hey, we're going to find out real quick what this Alabama team is made of this week. I think going into a hostile environment with the Mississippi State team feeling pretty confident about their odds.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think you're right, man. You got a team that's so used to winning. Just used to showing up and winning. And when you went undefeated last year. Some of these guys on this team has never lost a collegiate game until last week. Right. So I'm sure there could be a lot of finger pointing and stuff like that. I mean, it helps that Nick Saban's the guy. He's the guy that's used to not losing. So I'm sure he can bounce back and get these guys focused. But when it comes down to it, though, anybody that's ever played sports is sometimes, your coach can yell at you. He can make you run. He can make you do all this shit. But if my buddy next door to me here, the center, the tackle, or whatever position I'm playing, tells me to do better or points out the fact that I'm not doing the best I can, it speaks volumes. So that's that leadership, man. So we're going to find – that's the thing. We'll find out Saturday. Is there some leaders on this team that can get Alabama on track, or is this going to have to be a hangover effect? And next thing you know, we're talking about Alabama struggling to get to an SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Coach, I'm just curious, what is your approach in speaking to your players in the locker room after losses, and do you use that as kind of a jumpstart to setting the tone for preparation for the next week's game?
Well, I think that, players have to remember how they feel when they don't have success. And I think they got to remember how that feels. And then I also think that they have to think about, well, how did what we did sort of contribute to this feeling that I have? And then what am I willing to do to fix it? Basically is, the message. So, and when I say, how do we respond to this? That's what I'm talking about. How do you respond to the feeling that you had when you didn't have success? And what are you willing to do to fix it?
Coach, when you say, don't waste a failure, like, what does that mean in your eyes? And for this team, what should that mean to not waste a failure?
Well, I think that what it means very simply is sometimes the best lessons you learn are when you do have failings. And you can always learn more when you don't do something exactly right. And it's human nature to be more willing to learn when things don't go right. So I think you don't want to waste the opportunity that when you did things that weren't successful, how could I improve on those things so that I become a better player, my performance is better, it helps the team more. So when I say don't waste a failing, it's not getting frustrated with the fact that you failed. It's your response to the failure and how you can sort of correct it and do it better the next time.